So far in 2024, I've been using the Takomo 301 irons, and it's fair to say I've loved them. Oh, what a start, come on! I can play that shot down that fairway. Check out that ball flight. Oh, be good. Oh, I'll be good. However, these direct-to-consumer irons have never ever been fitted for anybody in the world until now. Lawrence, how are you?
Yeah, good mate. How
good
are
to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, really happy to be back here at SGGT. I'm really excited about this, guys. So I've never seen a set of Tacomos be fitted for anybody. Now we have a full set, 4-iron, 8-iron, 6-iron and wedge with your adapter on.
Yeah, so we've taken the sets that you've brought in, we've adapted it so that our fitting kit works on it. So now all of a sudden we should be able to get you dialed in for that shaft that we tried a few weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting one because so on the KBS website, or should I say on the Tacomo website, we do have these kind of KBS Tour 120s as standard and obviously Lampkin grips. I've opted for the green ones, which I really, really like. But I'm interested to see kind of what's happening with the lie angles in these. I know we can do that here in the studio as well, and just see exactly what shaft potentially could help me play my best golf with these Tacomos. Because I do love them. I love the idea of them. I love the price of them. I don't love you can't get fitted into them.
Yeah, so hopefully with this we'll be able to see where we go shaft-wise and length and lie, etc. But also whether we change shaft as we go through the set. Obviously we've got the combo set, the CBMB combos. We've got the 4 and 6 in the cavities, and then we've got the muscle backs here. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get them really dialed in so you get the best out of them for the rest of this year.
Right, where shall I start?
Right, let's get you hitting your 6-iron first. Same place as where we started last time.
So as always, guys, premium golf ball choices here at SGGT. I'm going to go with TP5 because that's similar to what I use out on the course. Right, 6-iron swing. I mean, as first shots go, they're so good, these irons, aren't they? Really, really good, especially for that price. I've jumped the gun early here. Lawrence is still setting the machine up.
Yeah, I'm ready and raring.
Me too. What shall I aim at?
I've got you 150 on the right.
Perfect. Good strike, a little bit cutty. I've had a loosener already, guys. That's obviously vital when you do come for a fitting. Here's a shape I quite like, you know, just kind of peeling it into the...
Yeah, just letting it drift a bit.
Into that flag. About 170, is it?
Yeah, 165 carry, 172 total.
So one of the things I really like about these irons is obviously there's an air of forgiveness in the heads, but there's also an air of versatility as well. Yep. So when we've used these in our kind of next 100 tour traveling the country, we're playing lots of different courses. Sometimes you have to play it low, sometimes you have to play a bit higher. So we have the ability to do both, similar to what we said with that fitting with the Titleists. It's a pretty good representation, to be fair, those first three.
Yeah, like your distance front to back is still, you know, very consistent there. There's only sort of 8 yards between the longest and shortest carry. And ultimately, what's great to see is there's not a big drop off, so obviously striking it sensibly, and there's nothing jumping on you. And again, that's a sort of a point of a forged product, right? Yeah. It doesn't have those hot, really explosive shots from time to time.
Not like the kind of hollow-bodied head we would get.
Yeah. Right, where we are with that, so we'll have a quick look. Obviously, looking at how you deliver it and so on. Sort of 6 degrees on the down, quite typical for a 6-iron. Consistent shot shape, quite consistent peak height. I'd probably look at maybe the lie angle a little bit for you just to see what we can do there. Stripe pattern, pretty sensible, nice and high on the face, so it shows that the sole's interacting quite nicely. Again, what I quite like about these Tacomos is this pre-worn leading edge. Yeah. I think it really helps that club sit nicely on the ground, but also for good players, it really helps you interact more with the sort of rear end of the sole plate.
I'm a huge fan of the head, and I think it's something which, when you are buying a forged head, how much technology are you going to get into it? That's one of the things that I always kind of think about. Yeah,
there's only so much you can do, but obviously, you know, every manufacturer has their own sort of way in which they like to do things and like things to come out and see.
Yeah.
So let's just get these.
Interestingly, on the website, you can order like different lie angles and stuff.
Yeah.
But you'd have to come somewhere like this to be able to gauge what you actually need.
Yeah, so this is 62.5. So it's, for us, that's sort of half a degree, 1.5 degrees upright, depending on sort of where you would stand. But I'd say that's quite upright already. Loft-wise, 30 degrees, so a sensible loft. And for your
And in
sort of
fairness,
level.
these irons have been used a lot over the last 10 months. I've never checked lie angle. I didn't even check them when they came to see how they were. Obviously, a lot of brands have tolerances as well anyway.
Yeah, so you know, typically you'll see them say plus or minus 2.
Yeah.
So you'd imagine it's well within what their sort of shipping tolerancy would be. So they're well within what they'd classify. For us, that's probably, it's too far out. So looking at that and how you've delivered it, everything's been sort of a little bit more upright than that. So shafts standing up a fraction, and that could be why we're seeing a little bit of the ball dropping off to the right, the toes digging, dragging, opening the club face. So we'll just try it a little bit upright from where you are.
Okay. It's interesting how my swings change as well, because often I used to go quite flat, but now I'm sort of seeing a different shot shape. Having my swing changed and body type changed. Endomorph now, Chris.
Correct.
Yeah. Was a mesomorph back in the day, I think. Ectomorph, Bobby. Just without the height.
So just go try it in that 63 lie angle.
That's straight away straighter, isn't it?
Yeah, taken a little bit of shape out, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because when you do stuff like this, even just tweaking lie angles, tour pros are doing this all the time, aren't they?
Yeah.
Just to make sure things are correct. That was a pilot error, a bit of a pull. Gone a long way, that one, I think.
Yeah, a little bit quicker ball speed. Not, yeah, you'd always expect the
It's a
pull
flat
to go
pull,
longer,
yeah.
right?
Flat pull, de-lofted, over it. And that's the other way. That's nice. Even like visually looking down at the club, I feel like just that little, what have you moved that, a couple of degrees? A degree?
1 degree.
Yeah.
So maybe
Is that a state of mind, would you say?
no, I mean 1 degree is enough for it to impact anyone really. And you look at the difference in sort of stripe pattern, and then if you look at curve, so you've gone from 65 feet of curve to 26 feet of curve.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you know, you've gone 175 carry compared to 167. Your front to back dispersion is exactly the same. So how far your long to short miss hasn't changed, but we've just taken that little bit of shape out. I would expect you to also maybe see now more of that pull shot potentially come in a little bit, because that's the delivery that you've got on there at the moment. It's a little bit left, so we would expect to see more of that come in, because the club face should be pointing more in line with how you deliver the club.
Okay.
Okay. And again, that's a point that people should really think about. If they're going through lessons, etc., as their delivery changes, they should get their irons checked, because things change and how that works changes. So again, you know, you look at that and we go, well, this is what's happened to the stripe pattern now. 4 shots against 4 shots. You know, you're a good golfer. The swing speed's changed 0.3. But
so that's the consistency of...
Yeah, so your ball speed's gone up from 21.5 to 24.5. So you found 3 miles an hour of ball speed just through changing the lie angle 1 degree, taking a little bit of shape out, and all of a sudden we found some more ball speed.
And what's that done to the spin axis? The spin axis must be reduced, is it?
Yeah,
more
so,
neutral?
so we measure it in curve.
Okay,
so the curve's down at 37 feet. So you've taken 30 foot of curve off, so 10 yards.
Right. That's a toey one, but it's straighter.
Yeah, I mean, that's only 7 mil out the toe. But again, look, ball speed, because we're getting that club face slightly squarer due to a lie angle, not having the club face rotate. So,
Where now?
Cool, right, so. Been keeping this one warm for you.
Oh, here we go. I don't know where he's pulled that from, but...
Right, so where were we?
And this isn't just a kind of blind spot test. This is, we did a fitting a couple of weeks ago, didn't we?
So we've done a fitting a few weeks ago, and this is what came out. Best feel, but also best numbers as well.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, we're going to build this in, and then just going to get the right lie and make sure the loft's exactly the same as well. Again, you know, all we've done is we build these up with our sleeves. We've not checked it for the tolerance of loft or lie or anything, but what we can do is make sure that this represents that exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And I think part of the joy here is having not only the loft and lie machine here, but the workshop just over the corridor, isn't it? Because from there, things are instant. There's nothing more frustrating than if you go for a club fitting. It's like, oh, give it a couple of weeks and we'll see what we can do with that. Because things change and people change, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, grips and stuff like that, you need them changing, or, you know, loft and lies. It's nice that, you know, if you've come for a fit and actually, you know, you've been fitted into something, but you've got maybe a wait for a build or something like that, we can always just change your lies and make sure that at least you've got those working a little bit for you. Black head now.
He's got one blackhead. He's got them in blackhead. Yeah.
Of course he has. One of one.
I think they are literally one of one, aren't they? The CBs are 1 of 100 to represent the 100 tour that we do. One for each course. Well, the ones that aren't allowing us to film, they're out.
Okay, so we're going to try that LA golf shaft. It's the 120 stiff in here. So
it's exactly the same weight as the KBS we've been testing. Yeah. Okay.
But obviously it's carbon, so it should give us that slightly different performance. Hopefully for you as well, that increase in torque with it being carbon over steel will help reduce that little bit of left, right.
Straighten it out.
Help you find a straighter ball.
And if we are literally fitting to a point of trying to hit better straight golf shots and not thinking about changing my kind of impact factors or anything like that, essentially all I can then do is aim a little bit to the right.
Yeah.
And just hit it bang straight at the target, hopefully. Right. That felt so soft. I remember this shaft doing this last time.
Yeah, right out the middle again, 124 ball speed. What we're seeing over that KBS is that spin is slightly higher than where we were. So where we were in 6250, same again. Sorry, got it wrong.
And for a 6-iron, realistically, what we're trying to do, if we can get a little bit more spin and the same distance, it's almost cheating, isn't it? Because
so we want the ball to two main focuses here. The land angle needs to be above 45 because that's your sort of trajectory and how you can stop it without being so reliant on spin.
Yeah.
So it's getting that peak height nice and high, 90 foot and above. Land angle, again, 45 and steeper. And then if you can keep the spin relatively high as well, that's where your control comes from.
Yeah.
Because it's easy for good golfers like yourself to take spin off and lower the ball flight. It's very difficult. The hardest shot is to try and hit it higher and spinnier. So actually, if we can get you there, you can always manipulate it down yourself.
See, that felt lovely. It's just a tiny pull, isn't it?
Yeah, just a little pull. Again, right out the middle. Ball speed's a little bit higher. Pulls, obviously, the spin drops. But what I like about that is that's not gone excessively long.
Yeah.
Right, it's only gone like another 8-9 yards.
Still spinning at 5.5, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That is lovely. Oh, brilliant. See, that felt like a lovely flighted little fade.
See, I like this because, like we discovered in the last fitting, for you can still feel like you can move the ball around height and left to right if you needed to.
Yeah.
But you've got that sort of, that stock shot that is just very easy and comfortable. Doesn't feel hard work.
That is so good.
And again, like we've done nothing different here. That head is exactly the same as what you've had before, but we're seeing another 1 mile an hour of ball speed. Still a very lovely centered strike. So it shows the lie angles well, the length as well. Obviously that pull's just brought that spin down a fraction.
But to be honest, 5.7 spin for me with a 6, if you're using a hollow bodied iron, that's good.
Yeah, that's great.
So like for it just to drop that much with a little bit of a pull.
Yeah, and that's all it was. It was just the pull and the sort of one straight after this one as well that I thought just that one and that one just dropped it down a fraction.
Say
like
if I try to hit a high one and just, not too much different, just that, I'm really going to see what that does. So that's just my stock high fade.
So again, middled, 128 ball, so just as quick as anything. I imagine you don't see any,
Yeah, that's
great 5.8 spin. Landing at 46.7. So again, if you can get the peak height and the land angle, this becomes less of an impact on the sort of finishing performance.
Yeah.
You don't need to have as much spin if you have a steeper land angle, obviously, because it's coming in steeper, it's going to land softer.
Essentially, what it's doing, though, is making these shots easier to do. So I'm not thinking about changing too much in the technique.
Yeah.
That's that high one again.
Let me just give this a little waz with that.
Yeah, that is gorgeous. Check this out, Chris. 170 odd, 180 maybe, carry. 177. Put that in it while he's gone. What do you reckon?
Pretty good.
Isn't it?
Numbers are good there. Spin's good. Spin there.
Looks cool as well. Always a bonus, isn't it? Try and fit them into the copper heads. Can I flight one down? He hates it when you do this. Oh, I'm just going to flight one down. Can you flight one down? That is a low little under the table shot. It's exactly the same. It's carried 2 yards less, and look at the peak height difference here. Right, you hate it when I do this, but I've just tried to flight one down as opposed to the normal one. Can you tell the difference in the peak height? Because the distance is 2 yards difference between this and the previous shot.
Yeah, so obviously you're at 60 foot there, and sort of like your previous shots peak height were sort of 96. There was that low.
So the ability to do that's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, 80,
like if I
89, 83. So you can take somewhere between 20 and 30 feet of height off.
And still hit the same distance.
And still hit the same distance. And what's nice is also the ball speed hasn't dropped. So typically most people will have to take club head speed off to hit the ball flatter. So you take the speed out so the ball doesn't climb to its peak as much. Whereas what you've been able to do is you've still flighted it lower with the sensible spin and a consistent spin as well. It's only fluctuating 600 revolutions across all your strikes, but you've just knocked 20 foot off.
People watching this will be asking why, but if you play in the conditions where you're playing, being able to do that's massive. That's the difference between on one day shooting 75 or 85, if you can do that, and it still feels fantastic and it's really fun.
Yeah, lovely.
What we got now? What was the peak height there? That was 35?
62, so again, another flighted one.
35, where have I picked? Oh, because we said the difference. 35 difference is what I was thinking. I meant 65, so really I wasn't far off. What we got here, 8?
No, going to go 4. So go top end and see how you get on, and this is where we can potentially change what we need here. So
this is also where you don't get this in most fitting centres, do you?
24, so dap's not big enough. That needs to be a fraction shorter.
Let's just lob the same shaft in the 4-iron and see what, even like some of the best fitting centres in the world, 7-iron, Ledger 7-iron, crack on.
Yeah, so I've just made that to 22, okay? Reason being, we're at 30 there, it gives us a better gap in, so if we're going to keep 4s through.
Yeah. For people wondering why the shaft acrylics are on an angle, it's because the shaft's being pured, so you kind of know where the strong part of the shaft is. So what do you think is a good distance here then, if we've been having say 175 with the...
So a good way to think about it is gaining ball speed, right? Because then you can manipulate it a little bit from there. So we're at 126. We typically want to see somewhere between 4 and 5 miles an hour per club change.
Yeah.
So we need to see this up at 134, 136 would be, and that shows that we're getting enough ball speed for us to maintain a good gapping.
Yeah. That's down to the shaft length, isn't it, in club head speed, essentially?
Yeah.
Good shape. I'm not sure about the strike. Nice. Nice ball flight. Touch Healy.
So just not seeing the ball speed come from this particular shaft in this head. So hit a couple more.
Yeah.
So getting it up to 130, so still not quite getting the sort of ball speed that we want out of it.
Yeah.
So what we'll do...
And would you put different shafts in different clubs within the set?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously you're trying to get everything to work, right? So there has to be a a functionality behind it and sort of an aim for the outcome to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop the weight, obviously keep the same sort of profile.
I did think it felt heavy, actually. I suppose if you weren't going to change the shafts in them, then fitting a 4, 6, 8 and wedge is pointless because all you're doing is vanity. There you go, that's what it feels like, rather than actually fitting it.
Yeah, so obviously we're just going to drop the weight down there. What that does is obviously that'll change the sort of balance of the golf club. So taking the swing weight there, that comes out at just under D2. So that might feel a little bit more balanced.
Okay.
So it still has a good swing weight, whereas what we've done is we've really changed the dead weight. And dead weight's basically when you measure the weight of the golf club as all the components just compiled together.
Yeah. That's just a bad swing. Hey, come on.
But actually you've put on some club head speed, which is very different. Like before, that previous shaft looked a little slower, looked harder work to
I mean, the
move.
fact that's carried 185 is ridiculous, to be honest. That was a bit toey as well. Amazing though when you jump into a longer iron, isn't it? The consistency levels of strike. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so we got the right ball speed. Just missed a few bits of the data, but yeah, got the right ball speed there. Well, a better ball speed.
Yeah.
Right, there we go. We're starting to get 130, 132, 133.
Yeah.
As we get more to the middle. So it shows that we're getting into the right realm there.
Yeah, 190 odd. Because I'm not trying to hit this any harder.
No.
I think if I can just put the same swing on it pretty much, change the setup a little bit. Maybe a touch high out there, does it?
Yeah.
Still a 130
Again,
ball
like the
speed,
4 iron is a difficult club to hit.
That's the one. That was good.
There we go.
That was lovely.
Right, there's your 134.
That's the
ball
good
speed.
golf swing. That's the golf swing I would hope I'd put on it.
And there's your just shy of 200 carry, 80 feet of peak height, landing at over 40 degrees with 4-7 spin. So it's got all those sort of attributes of it still being controllable and reacting properly on the ground.
And that does feel so much easier to move than that heavier shaft.
But that's, the whole point, right? Like 135 ball speed.
Yeah.
Like I said, we want that 134 to 136 sort of ballpark. So again, you're finding the middle, we're finding the speed, we're finding what we want. But that's the problem with just fitting in a 7 iron, right?
Yeah. Because that's essentially, and
we've just dropped.
A lot of people would worry about having different shafts in irons, but it looks exactly the same. So like you probably wouldn't notice anyway.
No, exactly, and that's the same thing with lots of the sort of manufacturers, whether graphite or steel. You can still play something very, very much the same, but just drop down in weight. So modus 105 or the modus 120s, you can change.
If I was to try and kind of play that, that shot we would play off the tee with this, like almost.
Like a deliberate knockdown, sort of just find a fairway.
So you can still do it even with the lighter. That's one thing I'd worry about.
Yeah, but the ball speed's still there, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that it's a lighter shaft. It's still very stable. Okay,
yeah.
It's still got the same sort of profile that you're used to seeing. All that you've done there is you've knocked that out there at 45 feet, landing at 28 degrees, and it's just going to run.
Yeah. I nearly got that
kill a seagull.
Nearly killed Bobby. Right.
Yeah.
Happy with that.
Just covered both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, so I'm saving the environment. I'm also
destroying it.
Yeah.
So you're carbon neutral.
Essentially, I am carbon neutral. Yeah. Well, I'm going to pub later though, so probably not. Anyway, low end of the bag because this is probably more important than the 4 iron for me. Although the numbers, a lot of people have been really interested in those numbers with the 4 iron. I hit 200 carry when you're away, but it's gone off the screen.
Yeah. So what obviously this is, our USP really. The fact that we can still give you that. What changes in the 4 iron, and is that shaft still applicable in the pitching wedge? Because this is your scoring part, right?
Essentially, would you think, right, the 4 iron had to be lighter, the 6 iron's a standard 120. Now, would you go heavier initially to think you've got a trend?
There's potential for that, yeah. So you could stagger the shaft profile and make sure that you either go a bit firmer,
like a combo shaft set.
Yeah, so you could combo the shafts and the heads if you really needed to. It's also just checking that you've got the right sort of shaft, yes, it might function as a 6-iron, but is it still giving you that scoreable, playable numbers that you need through your pitching wedge? Because you know, pitching wedges, you typically use them not only just for full swings, but some people use them 3/4 round the green.
A little bit of an artist with a pitching wedge, yeah.
An artist.
Say it, Chris.
The twat.
He's had some.
Well, all right, guys, if anyone wants to book in SGGT, feel free. Chris is the tall bloke who works with James. Just quote that.
Get dizzy.
He's not even tall. It's just because I'm short. People think he's tall. People think Chris is 6'5".
Now they're disappointed when they meet you.
And they think you've got hair. Do you remember him? He once met a guy. He's like, Chris, I thought you'd have hair. Sorry. Anyway.
Why would you think that?
Yeah.
That was the opening gambit.
Yeah, it was, literally.
Okay, so what we want to see here, yes, some full swings, but also want to see whether you can still play those sort of half, 3/4 swings where you're pitching it and still have control. So again, I've just changed that lie angle so it tapers in from where we had you in that 6-iron.
Yeah. Feels nice. Feels heavy after the 4, but it feels nice and workable.
You know, I think the wedge especially still needs that little bit of dead weight, right? That sort of sensation that as soon as you start to take that full swing momentum off the club, you've still got control of it. That awareness of what's going on.
A couple of toey ones though. That was toey as well. Felt it.
Just a little higher up the blade, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, great spin. So I've set this wedge at 47.
Okay.
So a little bit weaker than probably where your profile...
Which I don't mind, to be honest. Like anything around a kind of 125 for me, I'm really happy with. Like I feel like I could probably really try and muscle one out at 130, 135, but I'll just do a 9-iron.
Yeah. Because again, where does your sort of gap wedge sit in the set?
50.
Yeah.
So a gap wedge is like 110 maximum.
Yeah, so you can see here, your good swings are 120, maybe 125 at a push. And I think this is where so many times people go for a fit and actually the pitching wedge just goes too far.
Yeah.
And actually you need like a second pitching wedge or a gap wedge.
See that 127, that's...
Yeah, it's a flush, right?
Yeah.
You've hit it great and that's 127. You can handle a 17-yard gap between your gap wedge and your pitching wedge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. That's like a real nice stock one.
Yeah, 97 ball, decent numbers. 122.
Yeah.
Again, it's sort of like 12 yards longer than where your gap wedge would sit. So we're not seeing like you having a big issue down there. And then obviously we gap through the set all the way up to 200 yards in your 4-iron. Yeah, again, that'll be...
That's probably long. That's if I'm hitting that one, I'm probably thinking sit. Flag. Well, no, it's the same.
Yeah, it had the same ball speed, you see.
Yeah.
And again, that's a big part of these lovely forged heads.
Yeah.
And it also shows that this graphite shaft isn't causing you to have those sort of jumpy, kicky shots either.
No. About 90 to 100.
Yeah, so you dropped your ball speed down sort of 7 miles an hour, maybe 1.5-ish. 113, a bit longer. But nice strike still.
Yeah.
And again, it shows that you've got that control to
good job he's
shank
moved
it.
there. I've been thinking then, him stood there.
Shuffle forward a bit and getting a bit closer.
That's what it was. It was too far back.
Yeah, watch the plaster.
It's not fitting if you don't hit a shank.
There we go.
Yeah, really happy with the workability on that. Even just for them kind of, because you don't want to lose the feel, do you? You know, like even just be able to, that kind of little trappy one.
Yeah, and this is obviously a concern for good players going into graphite, right? Is that, does it feel like I've just lost that ability to control it at lower speeds? Does it feel like it's a bit whippy?
Does it even feel like a graphite?
No, it's good. That's what you want, right? You want that stability. You want it to feel solid.
About 125?
Yeah. Yeah.
124.4. Yeah,
But again,
sold.
That's exactly what we wanted to achieve, right? And obviously it helps that we went through all the different shafts previously. But I think what we've shown here is, yes, we did that. And yes, we found a great shaft, but actually we found out it wasn't going to be right in your 4-iron.
Yeah.
And we could have very easily just built you up a set in the 120s, 4 to wedge, and just gone, yeah, there you go. And you'd have really struggled in that top end of the bag.
Yeah, and wondered why.
Yeah, because it's the same shaft, right? And
Yeah.
you then keep going over and over the fitting and going, well, it worked really well in the 6-iron. It still doesn't. What's that? But we've tried it, and you've physically been able to try a different shaft, a different weight, and that's enabled us to keep you in the same sort of family of shaft, same profile, but just drop the weight and give you that sort of more control and better results in the full swing. So
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
James, thank you.
Guys, if you enjoyed that, smash that subscribe button. Make sure you check out SGGT on Instagram, which is linked below. And that's the first ever Tacomo iron fitting in the world. I'm impressed by that. How's your coffee? All right?
Yeah, it's good.